You don't know me, but I was one of the 12 disciples. Well, 11 after Judas betrayed him. But I'm not one of the famous ones whose names slide off the tongue easily of every Christian. My name is in the book, in the stories of his life. And I was with him from the beginning, through the crucifixion and the resurrection. And I was terrified like the others and ran and hid, same as they did. And I was in the upper room that day after the resurrection when he appeared to us out of the blue. But people don't mention my name or tell stories of me like they do about Peter or even Thomas. What I wanted to tell you about today was that day that John recorded in his gospel when Jesus was getting ready to leave this earthly world for good. He was talking to God, to the Father, and I heard him say that he had us, the disciples, all trained up and ready to take over for him. Yeah, he said that we now knew everything that he knew and were ready to take his place. Well, my first thought was, no way. Everything that he knows? Well, I could feel my stomach sink and my heart with it. Well, I was standing in the back where I always stood, and without thinking, I felt my feet going like this, like I was going to try and slip away, and maybe no one would notice. But Jesus saw. He never missed a trick. And he fixed his eyes on me, and I was frozen in place. Now, before you judge me too harshly, imagine this. You're riding in the back seat of a car. I know what you're thinking. They didn't have cars in those days. No, we didn't. But you know, at night when all the crowds were gone, Jesus would tell us things that would amaze you. Not only could he turn each of us inside out and reveal things about us that we didn't know ourselves, he could go back 1,000 years into the past and tell us about people. He knew their names. He knew everything about them. And by the same token, he could go well into the future and tell us everything that would happen. And one of the things he told us was how people became so enamored with their things. And cars was one of the big ones. I'll have to confess, cars sounded pretty cool to me. Well, as I was saying, Jesus is talking to God about how he has us all ready to do his work. And I felt like somebody who had been riding in the back seat of a car and content to be there, to tell the truth. And suddenly Jesus pulls over to the side of the road, gets out, points at me and says, "You drive." Well, I didn't have a driver's license. I knew nothing about driving a car. No way I was getting behind that wheel. Well, maybe Peter could drive or John, but I was the least of the disciples, less than Judas, really. Well, you can see why I started to backpedal. I had no way that I could believe that I could do what he was asking of me. It was too much. It was just too much. And I didn't have it in me. And then, in that moment, he caught me with his gaze, same as he had that first day when he called me to follow him. And I was frozen in place. I couldn't take another step. I couldn't slip away. I couldn't go back to fishing. I had to stay there and do what he asked, or die trying. But I'll tell you this, I had zero confidence that I could pull it off. Well, in that moment, with his eyes penetrating me, I could hear his voice inside me, clear as sharp as glass breaking. "Each in your own way," he said. My eyes started to fill with tears of joy. Each in your own way. That's all he expected of me. And in that moment, my spirit was mended, was restored, just like he had fixed and restored every broken, frightened spirit who had ever crossed his path. serve him in my own way. That much I knew I could do, and I have.